So the comedian Dimitri Martin, he has a fun little joke about how we need to change the image of cigarettes so that kids, teenagers no longer think that it's something cool to do. And what we should do is we should just put two tiny, hairy little balls on the bottom of the cigarette. So when you smoke it, what's going on down here? I don't know how you would cup those or why you would, but and that way teenagers wouldn't be tricked so easily into smoking, right? You got to be at a pretty progressive high school before that's considered cool. I mean, seriously, love who you love, all right? Love is love. I'm not, but still, you don't want those things. You don't want that tapping against your chin in public. You don't want people to see that, even if you're enjoying it. That's not particularly attractive to anyone. It's a private, right? I'm not trying, this isn't me trying to be like, oh, homophobia, I'm going to get canceled before I even get started here. The beginning of this video is not going well. It's going to be front page of the New York Times, homophobic dentist ruins lives. I mean, look, if it made sense to make fun of, female reproductive apparatus to get people to stop smoking, I'd do that, Misogynistic dentist ruins lives. I'll be on the front page. HuffPo and BuzzFeed are going to take me down for trying to stop people from smoking with homophobia and misogyny. There's an ethical quandary for your next philosophy class. Would it be worth it to be homophobic and misogynistic if it got everyone in the world to stop smoking? People still take those, right? Philosophy courses? The point is we just want smoking to look silly, right? We want to make it look silly so it's not attractive and interesting and intriguing. We don't want any of that. Hollywood has made smoking, darn you, Hollywood. Hairy balls dangling from a stick in your mouth looks silly, no matter what your orientation in life. It's a goofy thing to have hanging out there. Silly mission accomplished. Teenagers make decisions based on stupid stuff. So you gotta use stupid stuff to influence their decisions, right? Seriously, we gotta get to people when they're teenagers, because no adult decides to start smoking. That doesn't happen. Adults figure out, once our brains fully develop around age 25 or so, that smoking is one of the dumbest things a human being can do, all right? The jig is up. Once your brain is functioning, we get it. No adult is smoking at age 25 trying to fit in. Am I cool with the lunchroom now? Look at me playing hooky. I'm an adult. That's not If you're an adult smoker and you're watching this video, obviously you want to quit. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. I'm rooting for you. I want to help you quit. You're my hero for not wanting to smoke anymore. Let's get rid of this stupid, painful nightmare already, Hi, I'm Mike. I'm a dentist, and I have seen cigarettes destroy so many people's mouths. It's ridiculous, kind of. If you're looking at pull teeth, it does make it easier to pull teeth out. They're very loose usually. You just kind of pluck, 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 So as a dentist, if you're going to come to me to have your teeth pulled out, it's kind of like, maybe they smoke, it'll be easy. But I don't want you to lose your teeth. I really don't. I'd rather you hold on to your teeth. Smoking is a major risk factor for severe gum disease. It really messes up the bone and gum tissue that's supposed to support your teeth. Basically, your teeth kind of just start falling out of your head. You don't get a lot of warning. It doesn't hurt. Your teeth sort of just start getting loose. I'll be honest, sometimes patients tell me that they pulled their own teeth. And that's always a clue, oh, this person smokes. Because it's just way too difficult to pull an adult tooth out of healthy bone and gum tissue. If you're pulling your own teeth at home, first of all, don't do that. But second of all, we gotta stop smoking. And I know I'm being sort of silly goofy here, but seriously, it's not fun losing your ability to smile and chew, and interact with other people confidently. That sucks, but smoking robs people, lots of people, robs them of that. It sucks, right along with a side order of two cartoonishly small, hairy little balls. Homophobic dentist ruins lives. Hairy little balls. And I'm not trying to judge or scare anyone. I'm just telling it like it is, right? Smoking will wreck your mouth. I see lots of people in their 30s and 40s who are just losing teeth left and right because of smoking. That's young. You don't have to have your teeth falling out of your head when you're in your 30s. And here's the other problem. Smoking also makes it difficult for us to fix your mouth after you start losing teeth, right? The implants, you've heard of dental implants, putting those in the jawbone, smoking makes it much more likely that those are going to fail. So then you're spending money on a dental implant, which is like the most expensive dental procedure, and it might not even work. If you've already lost teeth and you're looking to replace them with implants, it's another reason why we got to get smoking out of your life. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. Be gone. Smoking. We don't want you smoking. Get out of here. I don't mean you, the person. I mean smoking, the entity. We're trying to get rid of that. I get patients that come in all the time. They're like, oh, it's fine. We can just do implants, right? And it's like, that's probably not going to work either. If we don't get rid of the smoking, it's probably not going to work. I mean, I could sit here and rattle on forever about how smoking is one of the worst things for human health in the history of time. You already know that. Like, you've heard that a million times. It's not a surprise to you. You get it. If you're still watching this video, you already want to be happily rid of smoking. That's why you're here. So, okay, good. Now, how can I help you? Well, if you're serious about this and you're ready to make a positive change in your life, I'm going to recommend some books. Books? I don't want to read books. Fine, that's fine. You can listen to them as audiobooks in your car if that makes you feel better, right? Pretend it's a podcast. Yeah, I've been listening to this new podcast. It's called Books. They're from this weird ancient place called a library. Libraries are cool, and I will defend them till the day I die. You gotta be at a pretty progressive high school before that's considered cool. I don't want to read books. Yeah. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Pause the video, read this. You burn your tongue on a cigarette? That's not my fault. All right. Carry on my wayward son. Book number 1. Books. Book number 1. Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. Now, I know the title of this book says Alan Carr Stop Smoking Now, but I don't know. They just sent me this and it had a different title than the book I ordered. If you search Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking Without Willpower, you're going to get a book that was written by him or that's been modified and updated for modern day by his disciples. Either way, this is what you want. Something that looks like this. So who was Alan Carr, the author? He was a chain smoker, heavy chain smoker. He smoked like 60, 70 cigarettes a day or something like that for 33 years. And then he quit cold turkey and he was able to stay off it for the last 23 years of his life. Okay, so how did he do that? As odd as it may sound, the truth of the situation revealed itself to him. I know that sounds sort of mystical, but you need to read the book and it'll make way more sense to you. Also, tip or perk, I guess, he says at the beginning of the book that you can smoke the whole time you're reading the book, which if that doesn't say confidence that he's going to be able to get you to stop smoking, he's like, go ahead, smoke your cigarette, read my book. I dare you to keep smoking when you're done. Like he's very confident. He knows what he's doing, but he's also very empathetic. He's a good guy. I mean, he's dead, but he was a good guy. All right, that's pretty crazy. He smoked that many cigarettes. So how did he do it? How did he quit? You don't need a pill or a patch. You just need insight, right? Read a book from someone who understands the psychology of what you're going through on a daily basis, right? In a very intimate way. Because he dealt with it too for 33 years. That's a long time. Alan Carr is your guy. He knows what it's like to be a smoker, and he knows what it's like to be a successful non-smoker. Am I sounding enough like a new age, shaman yet? If I still somehow haven't convinced you to read this book, or you're interested in learning a little bit more, I also wrote an article on the website medium.com all about this book and why you should read it. I'll link that in the video description. So if you still need convincing, you can read that. Alan Carr has more credibility on this subject than I do, right? I'm not a smoker. I've never been a smoker. So you might be watching this video like, you don't know what you're talking about. He knows what I'm talking about. He knows. If you are seeking a Sherpa to guide you on your non-smoking journey, Alan Carr. Book number 2. Book number 2. Michael Pollan. I'm covering his name. Book number 2. Michael Pollan's How to Change Your Mind. So this one's all about psychedelic drugs. Well, whoa, hold on. I thought you said I didn't need to take anything in order to stop smoking. We said no gum, no patches, no pills, no gum, no patches, but you want me to take psychedelic drugs? Psychedelic drugs? I thought you said I didn't need to take anything to stop smoking. You don't. You're right, you don't need to take anything. I'm not telling you to take psychedelics. I'm telling you to read about psychedelics. And I mean that literally. It's not like a wink wink. Read about psychedelics, but really pop psychedelics. That's not what I'm saying. I'm seriously not telling you to take psychedelics. I am seriously just telling you to read about them. Read a book about psychedelics. That's what I want you to do. These are weird drugs. They seem to have very powerful effects, increasing the openness of the human mind. If you read about the personality trait openness, I'm not making that up. It's something we've tried to scientifically measure in people's personalities. Psychedelics actually increase that. And again, the reason I'm bringing this book up is it's similar to the kind of openness, the openness of mind that Alan Carr experienced that helped him to successfully quit smoking. Again, the easy way. It's the kind of openness that various meditative practices in traditions like Buddhism try to approach. If you're smoking and you don't want to be, you're stuck in certain thinking patterns, right? You're stuck in a well-worn rut. What you need is an eye-opening experience. You need to know that those experiences are real, that they are possible. I've never taken any psychedelic drugs. I personally don't ever plan on doing so. But this book was eye-opening and important to me. Read the book. If you're not convinced to read this book, just read up on the smoking cessation trials that are being conducted at Johns Hopkins University. The success rates are pretty wild. We're talking success rates of like 65 to 80% based on a single guided session. You don't have to keep taking psychedelics. You just take them one time in an appropriate clinical setting with a trained medical professional guiding you through the process, and then you're done. Bye-bye cigarettes. I mean, seriously, this whole book is pretty fascinating. They're using these substances to help people deal with death and dying, like to cope with it. You know, that active process that we're all sort of approaching the grave 1 second at a time. Tick, 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 tick. You're dying, I'm dying, you're dying, I'm dying. All right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to freak you out, but we're all dying. So it's just, some faster than others. But again, interesting stuff about how to deal with that reality in the book. It's pretty wild to hear, cancer patients, for instance, talking about how these drugs made it easier for them to enjoy the life that they had left and the time they had left with the people who they love. There's actually a part of the book that talks about how they conducted some of the trials at NYU's dental school instead of at the hospital or the medical school, because they wanted to distance the fact that they were doing this like taboo research with psychedelics from like the medical school and hospitals. They're just like, just do it at the dental school. They're not real doctors. Who cares? If you need to conduct some seedy underground research, just do it at the dental school. That made me laugh. The American philosopher William James, who is known for experimenting with nitrous oxide, he actually gets a shout out in the book as well. So I don't know, maybe that was the roots of dentistry and psychedelics. I don't know, William James, he couldn't have made it as a dentist. He would have been hogging all the nitrous, wouldn't have given it to his patients. But he came up with some interesting philosophical ideas about religious experience and stuff. So, that was probably important, I guess. All right, the point is, growth is possible, all right? You don't have to stay stuck in a rut smoking cigarettes your whole life if you don't want to. The human brain is plastic, malleable, adaptable. Metamorphosis and reinvention are very, very possible. Don't be afraid to change. Embrace the potential of a U2. A U2? What am I talking about? Bono now? Embrace the potential of a new you, right? I'm a motivational speaker. Listen to me. New you, new potential. Embrace it. But seriously, you have no idea what you might be capable of. If you're willing to reconceptualize who you are, right, to get smoking out of your identity, you have no idea what you might be capable of. Who knows what you might accomplish? So yeah, they've started using psychedelics to get people to stop smoking. I don't know, as a dentist, I'd kind of like to start some clinical trials, seeing if we can use psychedelics to get people to start flossing. Looking at you, NYU Dental School. You're already experimenting with the stuff. Just, tell people to stop smoking, start flossing, substitute one for the other. Why not? It's like a double healthy habit. When I snap my fingers and you hear the sound of a bird, you will stop smoking and start flossing. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Stop smoking. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Sound of a bird. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Start flossing. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Snap my fingers. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. When I snap my fingers and you hear the sound of a bird. Book number 3. Book number 3, book number 3, book number 3. Book number 3. 3. Pick number 3, me lord. All right, the third book is book number 3, book number 3. Atomic Habits by James Clear. I don't have a book to hold up for this one because I listen to it as an audiobook. So pretend I have a book and it says Atomic Habits, James Clear, and I'm holding it up in front of my face. And you can't see my face right now because there's a book there. But I actually listened to this one as an audiobook, so I don't have a physical book to show you. Sorry. This one is going to teach you how to restructure your environment in your life for a healthier, new you. Human beings are not infinite reservoirs of willpower. That's why Alan Carr realized it's important to learn how to quit smoking without willpower, right? That's going to lead to success. As flexible and malleable as the human mind is, it's not infinitely so. So we don't want to make quitting smoking harder than it needs to be. Atomic Habits is all about how to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. You're going to make it harder for you to smoke, and you're going to make it easier to do the things you'd rather be doing other than smoking. And your life's going to get better, and that's awesome. And look at you go, kid. I didn't actually get Atomic Habits, the book, as a physical copy. I just had it as an audiobook, but I took notes. Seems like it's showing up just like a blank, bright white paper. I needed to adjust the lighting for you to read. Anyway, some of the notes I took on Atomic Habits, I really like this. Identity-based habits. Who do you want to be, right? Who do you believe you are? The difference between no thanks, I'm trying to quit, versus no thanks, I'm not a smoker, right? I don't smoke. That's not who I am. That's not who I identify as, right? Your habits form your identity, and they follow from the identity that you choose for yourself. Behavior will not persist if it is inconsistent with your identity, the identity you believe in for yourself. True behavior change is identity change. You want to identify that with the values, principles, and the type of person you want to be, and then you create feedback loops that reinforce that. Some of the tips on making habits easier: you want to make them obvious, you want to make them attractive, you want to make it easy, you want to make it satisfying. I'm not going to read all these notes because it's like this is a whole nother video in itself. The point is, it's a really good book. It's very paint by number. Like, anybody can follow the tips that James Clear gives you in this book to be successful with behavior change. I've been doing it a lot in my own life with a lot of things, and I've become much more efficient at doing the things that I want to do. So it works. It works. It's a very good book. Even if somehow you're watching this video still and you're not trying to quit smoking, you're just like, I want to improve my life. Atomic Habits. So that's it. 3 books. If you read those 3 books, you take what they have to say seriously, and you apply the knowledge in your life, I'll bet money that you stop smoking and you don't start again. You're not going to want to. You're not going to care. You're going to be like, oh, I'm so happy. I don't have to smoke. I'm doing all these other great things with my life. Woohoo! You're going to make that face. You're going to woohoo! You might not do that, but you're going to want to. You might suppress it. Be like, it's socially unacceptable for me to woohoo! But you're going to have that feeling inside you. So just know that. Read the books. Follow the instructions. Improve your life. I think there'll be reverberations of improvements in your life from these books outside of just quitting smoking. That's the other thing. They're helpful books for a lot of reasons. If you liked this video and you're interested in other ways that you can improve your dental health, I've got a whole bunch of other videos on my channel to help you navigate improving your smile, preventing cavities, lowering dental bills, making sure you're comfortable at the dentist, reducing anxiety about dental care, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole bunch of videos. Check out my channel, subscribe, woohoo, like, subscribe, pew, 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 pew. Click me or whatever you got to do to. This is how you subscribe to my channel. You just click, you tap on, there's like a bell or something under the video you can click. Anyway, why did I start a YouTube channel? I realized, as a dentist, it's completely impossible for me to help all the people who need help with these things. Like physically, I would need like 12 million of me. I can't do that. But I can hopefully teach you the things that you need to know to prevent problems from happening, right? That's really effective dentistry. I'm serious. Like, I honestly believe if I can just get enough people eating a little smarter to protect their teeth, and have the right habits, taking care of their teeth at home, and to stop smoking, those things have the potential to save and protect and improve way more teeth than I ever could working in a dental office over the course of an entire career. I really believe that. That's why I'm doing this. And ultimately, again, like, if you choose to keep smoking, that's completely and totally up to you. It's your life, it's your choices. But I want to make sure you understand that if you keep smoking, it is going to be a lot harder, take a lot more effort, a lot more time, a lot more energy, a lot more money to maintain your teeth over a lifetime. It just is. So you're going to need some help from dentists and periodontists and hygienists. And that's fine. Like, you can get that help, but you need to be proactive in seeking that out. And you absolutely need to start flossing. You have to start flossing. Oh man, floss. If you smoke and you're going to keep smoking, floss. You have to floss. You have to floss. You have to floss. Floss, or you're going to lose your teeth, and that stinks. It's not fun. I don't want you to lose your teeth. Floss. I made a video on how to floss the right way. Watch that video and floss. I really hope this video didn't make anyone feel bad. That's not what I'm trying to do. I do stand-up comedy. A lot of my comic friends smoke. I'm not trying to judge anyone or make you feel worse about yourself in any kind of way. That'd be the worst thing. I don't want that to happen. Stop watching this video if it's making that happen to you. That's gross. Just trying to help the best way I can figure out to help. If you watch this video and you think I'm just a big dummy who needs to shut up and go away, that's fine too. Turn off your screen. Stop watching. You don't have to pay attention to me. I'm a ding dong. Everyone lives their own life. You make your own choices. I'm not trying to force anyone to do anything any particular way. But I still don't like the psychological manipulation that seems to me to be at play in getting people hooked on using cigarettes. Marketing expensive and harmful and addictive substances to young people with underdeveloped brains, that kind of bugs me. So all I'm saying is I think I should be allowed to do some counter marketing. My grandparents, my dad's side, they both smoked. I'm pretty confident that it helped kill both of them. I never really got to know my grandma all that well. A lot of my remaining memories of her are from when she was on dialysis treatment for her kidneys. That was not fun for her at all. Smoking doesn't exactly do you any favors when you have kidney disease. My grandpa's brother, my great uncle, he lived with my grandma and grandpa for years. He never smoked, but it turns out secondhand smoke is actually quite deadly as well. Toward the end of his life, his lungs shut down completely. I remember helping him unload oxygen tanks out of his car one time when I was in high school. I mean, he could barely collect enough air to just, get a sentence out. He didn't have enough breath in his lungs to talk. Then my grandpa, he died very suddenly, very quickly on his birthday one year when he was out to dinner with friends. There's not a whole lot of things that kind of kill you instantly like that, where you just literally drop dead. Usually you're talking, a severe heart attack or stroke, and smoking significantly increases the risk for cerebrovascular and cardiovascular adverse events. Yeah, it was his birthday when it happened, and I'd called and left him a voicemail on his phone earlier that day, saying I was looking forward to seeing him in a month. I was in dental school at the time. I was out of town. It was a cool time at that point in my life, getting to know my grandpa, because it was I was finally starting to get to know him as a person. He wasn't just my grandpa anymore. It was like some of those layers were starting to peel back, and it was like, oh, I'm getting to see who this is, not just like this, status of grandpa. Growing up, your grandpa's just sort of this like loving hero figure of sorts, like, which is good. That's, what grandpas are or should be. It's what you want. He told you stories about, the time machine behind the garage that was guarded by, an alligator. And, they were always really great stories that you and your siblings look forward to. And, he was the guy who, gave you caramel creams after your soccer games. And, you ate them. You didn't really like caramel creams, but they were from your grandpa, so it felt like something special, right? You used to sit in on calls from his car phone, in his car phone. He used to sit in on calls from his car phone to his bookie. That's before cell phones. Your grandpa had a phone in his car, and you just thought everybody had car phones, and they made calls to their bookie. You didn't know what a bookie was. You didn't know you were participating in illegal sports bets on the way to the movie theater with your grandpa. You just thought it was part of story time, with the alligator and the time machine. Yeah, call the bookie, place a bet. You thought everyone had bookies and car phones. It wasn't weird. Then, now you were an adult and you were just starting to have some adult conversations, with this man and seeing him in a different light. That mythic figure was sort of starting to dissolve a little bit, revealing someone who was a little more relatable. He was telling you stories of mischievous Halloweens, shooting out streetlights with a shotgun. You were studying political science in college, and he was bringing up weird stories about how he disliked Ted Kennedy because he was a womanizer, and how he went to parties that Ted Kennedy was at because he was involved with the trucking industry, and knew Jimmy Hoffa and weird stuff like that. Weird stuff, weird stories. Things that just made you curious about his different life experiences and what he'd been through in life. And like you were just starting to see through kind of a new window that you didn't know existed. But, I was busy with school and had been for a number of years. So those kinds of conversations were fewer than I wished they would have been. The night that he passed away, I was at the library in dental school studying for some dumb dental exam or whatever. And my dad called, and I thought, well, this is weird. Like, my dad never calls on Saturday nights when I'm studying. It was one of those things where, like, right before he even started talking, I was like, something's wrong. And then it's like the thought's already in your head, and you're like, you kind of know what he's going to say, but you don't want to know that that's what's about to happen. So my dad told me that his dad was gone. Yeah. So I went and I cried on the stairs in the library for a little bit. And a few people walked by and stared at me like, why is this person crying in the library? And it's a good question. I probably should have picked a different place to break down, but I chose a stairwell at the library. So anyway, and I just went home. I stopped studying. I was like, that's enough studying for tonight. And I went home and I went into the basement of the dental fraternity house that I lived at, where we had dental drills hooked up and would prep teeth. And there was also a TV down there. So I sat next to the plastic teeth, and I turned on the TV and I turned it to Comedy Central, because that's how I cope sometimes with things. And Dimitri Martin, of all people, he was on Comedy Central. He had a new special that was out, and it was very funny. And I laughed a little bit. So that's what I do. That's how I cope with stuff sometimes, is jokes and absurdity and silliness and whatever. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but that's what I tend to do. Dimitri Martin, he did a cool thing at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called If I. It's like funny but also interesting if you're if you're a Demetri Martin fan or you feel like becoming one. But anyway, I just wish I would have gotten to know my grandpa better, my grandma better, my great uncle better. Probably shouldn't have spent as much time studying dental nonsense. I probably shouldn't spend so much time making YouTube videos. Should probably be spending time with my own parents more. Naughty you, Michael. Tisk tisk. Learn your lesson. Hopefully, some of that dental nonsense helps me help some of you. You never know who you might be important to, who you might make an impact on, and you just have to recognize that, you're worth it. L'Oreal, you're worth it. Stop smoking. That should be the new thing. L'Oreal, you're worth it. Get rid of cigarettes. All I'm saying is, like, you don't have to smoke anymore. You don't have to stay in that rut. I think you're going to shock yourself with what you're able to accomplish once that's out of your life. You get that monkey off your back, like how many people you're going to impact in your life in a positive way. Yeah, there's no limit to it. As Mary Jane Watson used to say to Peter Parker in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon that took up many of my Saturday mornings, go get him, Tiger. All right, so here's something to think about. Smoking costs on average somewhere around about $3,000 a year. That's a lot of money. And smoking often affects people at lower income levels. If you don't make as much money in life, there's a correlation there that you're more likely to smoke. There could be a lot of reasons for that, but that's the reality. And another thing that goes along in life with making less money is that oftentimes you're more stressed out because it's harder to pay bills. And one of the triggers for smoking for a lot of people is stress. But smoking is a really poor way to cope with stress. It's not a healthy way to cope with stress. And again, you probably already know this. You're probably like, why are you kicking us when we're down? You're so mean. I'm not trying to kick you when you're down. I'm trying to frame this a certain way and just get people thinking about this on a more macroeconomic level, how this is affecting our society. Like, I'm trying to help you as an individual, but I think we also need to think and plan a little bit more as a society. What is the goal that we're working toward from a health standpoint societally, on the individual level, but also on the group level. One of the books that I've read that I really like that helps both focus on, okay, how does stress affect the individual, but then also has a chapter dedicated to, okay, what does this mean on the societal level, is this book right here. I've mentioned it in one of my other videos, Robert Sapolsky's Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. It's a fantastic book. Everyone should read it. There's a chapter in here. It's chapter 17. It's called The View from the Bottom. Bottom of Society. That's rough. It's a rough title, but it's, he's trying to talk about some harsh truths. He cites a 19th century physician, Rudolf Virchow, emerged not just as someone who was a scientist, plus a physician, plus a public health pioneer, plus a progressive politician. That would be plenty unique, but in addition, through a creative synthesis, he saw all those roles as manifestations of a single whole. He said, this is Rudolf Virchow that Dr. Sapolsky is quoting, said, medicine is a social science and politics nothing but medicine on a large scale. Physicians are the natural attorneys of the poor. I don't know. I was in college. I also studied at Xavier University in Cincinnati in this program. It's called Philosophy, Politics, and the Public. That's probably why I'm interested in this stuff to some degree. But anyway, Sapolsky says, the purpose of this chapter is to show how your place in society and the sort of society it is can leave an imprint on patterns of disease while you are alive, and to show that part of understanding this imprint incorporates the notion of stress. So again, this is not a book about how stress is responsible for every disease under the sun and so on. That's not what it is. But it's a really, really important book about how stress affects different disease states and can exacerbate them, make them worse, depending on context. So, and I can't go into why this has affected my life at this time because this video is already way too long. But this book was a revelation for me about a lot of health problems that I was dealing with in my life, both mental and physical. Helped me out a lot. So another really good book to read that can change your life. So I mentioned, all right, so smoking costs like $3,000 a year, and we're talking about habit change. Well, what would it mean if instead of spending $3,000 a year on smoking, you could save that $3,000 in like a health savings account. And then you could spend that money to improve your health rather than on something like smoking that's degrading your health, right? Think about the compounding effect that would have over years of making you a more secure, happy, healthy person, right? I looked this up too. I looked up what's the average someone has to spend on dental care in a given year. And the average is anywhere, what I found, somewhere ranging between $600 and $1,000 on average. Some people higher, some people lower. On average, $600 to $1,000. So again, thinking about it as a society, we're spending, and this isn't everybody, but for smokers, we're spending $3,000 a year on a habit that is destroying our health in countless ways, versus we could spend, some of that money, a portion of it, depending on, what your needs are, on something like improving your smile or, replacing missing teeth and giving you more ability to chew and function and not fracture other teeth because you're putting more stress on them and so on. You start seeing how this could snowball, if more and more individuals, if we get them on the right track, how much healthier our society as a whole could get. And in a book that I like that reinforces, what I'm talking about there, this one is called Nudge. It's by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein. So it's more of like, again, an economics-based book. Kind of takes an individual view, but also a macroeconomic view of, all right, how can we shape better decisions individually and as a society without forcing people to behave a certain way, still giving you choice to do as you ultimately want to do, but how can we positively influence choices for people to make choices that they would choose for themselves if they had the right information available. Nudge. All right, it's a really good book. And I'm not like pointing out that you spend $3,000 on smoking and you spend $1,000 on dental care and be like, oh, look at you, dummy, you're not spending your money the right way. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm just trying to point out that we are sort of fighting a losing battle here, and we need to change strategies as a society if we're going to be more successful with this. I know that I can't change your smoking behavior with logic, right? The things that drive you to smoke are not logical. They're emotional. What's causing you to smoke isn't really happening on the conscious level. It's subconscious. As Alan Carr understood, it's not a willpower issue. It's not a conscious issue. And I know I'm like trying to show you how to combat that with books, which feels like what's more logical than books? It feels like I'm throwing logic at an emotional problem, but I'm not. Like there's a method to this madness of throwing logical books at you. I feel like I'm on a roll here. I know I said I was only going to recommend 3 books. Like that was the first half of the video, and I'm just like book. But again, if you read those first 3 books and you're like, these were awesome, I'm giving you more books to read. And they are also awesome. So what's wrong with that? So anyway, this one is called Everything is a Book About Hope by Mark Manson. Mark Manson, you might have heard of his other book. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a I'm not going to say it on camera, but if it was off camera and it was off the record, I'd say it. But I don't know who's watching these things. I don't want to say it. You're reading it. It's fine. They're both good books. I like this one the most. He talks a lot about value hierarchies and how that influences behavior change in this book. Again, it's another behavior change book. It's another like how do you effectively turn your life around? Like what's the best way to really do that? Without willpower. He recognizes that logic is not the way to change behavior. And he's really good at explaining why that is and how your brain works in a very easy to understand way. It's not a complicated book. There's a section in this book where he talks about how a marketing strategist, Edward Bernays, got women to start smoking cigarettes back in the 1920s. Because it wasn't, like women didn't used to smoke. It wasn't considered a womanly act. I don't know if I'm saying this right, to smoke. It was like a manly thing. It was like cowboys or whatever that smoked. It wasn't women that smoked. So Edward Bernays, he did this thing with the New York City parade where he like hired these women to smoke in the parade, and it tricked a bunch of ladies into starting to smoke because they thought it was like high society or something. You can read the book. But Bernays, he was actually Sigmund Freud's nephew, right? And Freud was someone who was figuring out how the subconscious, right, how the emotions affect people's behavior, right? That's what he was dealing with in psychoanalysis, and Bernays kind of latched onto some of those ideas and applied them to marketing to manipulate people. Mark, he says in the book, through Freud, Bernays understood something nobody else in business had understood before him, that if you can tap into people's insecurities, they will buy just about any thing you tell them to. I'm trying not to curse on these videos. I don't mind cursing in my personal life if that matters to you. I don't know if you care. This is all Marketing 101. Today, one of the first things you learn when you study marketing is how to find customers' pain points and then subtly make them feel worse. Doesn't that make you feel gross? I can't, I don't feel great about this either, as a dentist, because I'm like, come to me, fix your smile. Your smile's wrong. No, your smile's fine. If you're healthy and there's nothing wrong with your teeth and gums and you like the way your smile is, boom, that's great. That's beautiful. You never need to see me, right? I'm not trying to make you feel insecure about your smile. That would suck. Stop. If I ever make you feel insecure about your smile, and that's what you think these videos are about, stop watching these videos. That's not good. I don't want to do that. What I'm trying to say is this is a really good book. And if you want to understand, again, how to not be emotionally manipulated into doing things that you don't really want to do, and how do you set your priorities in life to go after what's actually important to you, and how do you find what's authentic to you, this might be a book for you to look into. And before you buy this one, Mark Manson, he has a YouTube channel. You can follow and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Watch some of his videos. See if you like his stuff, and if you like his vibe, and if you do, then get his book and read it. So yeah, just search Mark Manson on YouTube, and that's free. You can just watch his videos and get a flavor for what he's like. Another insight that I think is really important when you're quitting smoking is realizing that you're really not giving anything up. And it seems like you are. It totally seems, it's like, I am. I like smoking. It feels good. And I know that it seems that way, sort of. But there's something really important to understand. It's an insight, I think, that Alan Carr figured out. I think I can't claim to be a Buddhist, but in my superficial reading of, Buddhist theology and what Buddhism tries to teach, in terms of the sort of regulation or understanding of what desire is, you're not giving anything up. I'm not articulating this well, but minimalists, if you're familiar with minimalism. But anyway, I keep talking about books. I'm going to talk about another one. This one's a book of interviews that Judd Apatow has done throughout his career. Judd Apatow's Sick in the Head. If you're a comedy fan, this is for you. If you like Judd Apatow, if you like stand-up comedy, if you like comedy film and writing and you're interested in that stuff, this is a cool little interview book you should check out. But anyway, one of my favorite interviews was with Harold Ramis. I should look up how to say that name before I try to say it on camera. Famous comedy director, Harold. I don't know how to say your last name. Harold Ramis. Harold Ramis. I'm going to go Ramis. Anyway, the interview with him, he did Caddyshack, Animal House, Ghostbusters. He actually acted in that one. He's a comedy director. And he's talking about working with a lot of famous comedians, and a lot of these comedians like to, use drugs. They use a lot of drugs, or, party animal houses or whatever. And, but Harold, can I say Harold? Are we on a first name basis? I don't know that he cares. But he talks about in the interview with Judd, if you're high all the time, that becomes your sober state. Eventually, all your judgments become relative to that state. That was the miracle of getting sober for me. It's not different. It's the same. I have the same problems, urges, desires, ideas, and thoughts. I don't need to be high. Eventually, getting high, I realized, just made me sick. I was sick. The idea is that you always come back to the same relative state. Whether you're high or not, you're still fluctuating through life as a human being. And anyway, when I read that in that interview, it made me think of another of my favorite books. This one, Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. This is one of my favorite books. It's a great book. There's a particular chapter on human happiness, and when I read that interview in Judd Apatow's book with Harold Ramis, it made me think of this particular page. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, some people are born with a cheerful biochemical system that allows their mood to swing between levels 6 and 10, stabilizing with time at 8. Such a person is quite happy even if she lives in an alienating big city, loses all her money in a stock exchange crash, and is diagnosed with diabetes. Other people are cursed with a gloomy biochemistry that swings between 3 and 7 and stabilizes at 5. Such an unhappy person remains depressed even if she enjoys the support of a tight-knit community, wins millions in the lottery, and is as healthy as an Olympic athlete. Indeed, even if our gloomy friend wins $50 million in the morning, discovers the cure for both AIDS and cancer by noon, makes peace between Israelis and Palestinians that afternoon, and then in the evening reunites with her long-lost child who disappeared years ago, that'd be quite a day, very eventful day, she would still be incapable of experiencing anything beyond level 7 happiness. Her brain is simply not built for exhilaration, come what may. Think for a moment of your family and friends. You know some people who remain relatively joyful no matter what befalls them. And then there are those who are always disgruntled no matter what gifts the world lays at their feet. We tend to believe that if we could just change our workplace, get married, finish writing that novel, buy a new car, or repay the mortgage, we would be on top of the world. Yet, when we get what we desire, we don't seem to be any happier. Buying cars and writing novels and making YouTube videos and doing stand-up, etc., and yanking teeth out of people's head, do not change our biochemistry. They can startle it for a fleeting moment, but it is soon back to its set point. So that's the thing. You're going to reach your set point again, whether you're smoking or not. So why not be at a set point of happiness without smoking where your body's going to be healthier? Right? I don't know. So anyway, that's the last book I'm going to recommend to you. Going back to Judd Apatow, I like a bunch of his movies. Very, very talented director. Every time I see or hear Judd Apatow, I always think of George of the Jungle, the movie George of the Jungle, because Judd Apatow is married to Leslie Mann, who was in George of the Jungle with Brendan Fraser. Just every time I see Judd Apatow, I'm just like, George of the Jungle. Just that's where my brain goes immediately. Lives as life as free, strong as he can be. Watch out for that O-I-E-O tree. Get it? Because he's swinging on vines and he runs into trees. Sometimes George's just lucky, I guess. George of the Jungle answers the burning question, what if Tarzan was just an idiot? Complete buffoon. What if we could make a movie about that? I mean, he was raised by apes. He probably wouldn't turn out that smart, right? But he has a heart of gold, and that's what really matters, right? He runs into trees. He doesn't know what he's doing. I mentioned Spider-Man at one point in the video. This is ridiculous. I ordered these Spider-Man DVDs off of, I think I got these off eBay, actually. I don't know if this was even an Amazon purchase. This might have been the last time I used eBay in my life. But somebody pirated these Spider-Man DVDs, and it's like the 90s Spider-Man show. I have this stack of Spider-Man DVDs. They're not in the right order there. If you stack them the right way, you can see they would form like a Spider-Man. Someone spent time putting together these pirated DVD cases with these little printouts. Anyway, I think it was $134. It was a major purchase for me to make at the time. It was like $134, $137. Why do I still remember that? It was an emotional decision for me. I was like, oh, can I spend this much money on cartoon DVDs of Spider-Man? I haven't even watched them that much. But I don't know, Spider-Man, it was a big impact on me. And part of the reason was, talk about like emotional attachments to things dictating your behavior in life. One of my favorite sayings or whatever is Uncle Ben. It's with great power comes great responsibility. That's stuck up in here from when I was a kid watching cartoons on Saturday mornings. So you just never know what's gonna, it's kind of like a third grandpa, Uncle Ben, the cartoon, his dying words to cartoon Peter Parker. With great power comes great responsibility. I love that saying, I wish my grandpa had come up with that one. My grandpa, he did like to say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. That was a favorite of his. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Sometimes he'd let you say it. He'd say, when the going gets tough, and then you were supposed to say, the tough get going, Grandpa, And which apparently is a song by Billy Ocean. Didn't know that till I just Googled it. The music video is a lot more sexualized than I think my grandpa was going for when he invoked the phrase. Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas, and Danny DeVito are backup singers to Billy Ocean in the music video. They're all wearing white tuxedos. I was just like, is that Danny DeVito? And it was a white tuxedo, Danny DeVito. It's amazing, the things you can find on YouTube. The platform I'm communicating with you on right now. How weird is the world we're living in? What? That Billy Ocean, The Tough Get Going music video has 14 million views on YouTube. So I guess Billy Ocean's advice was resonating with more than just my grandfather. And also make sure you watch the entire video, because at one point, white tuxedo Danny DeVito plays the saxophone, and I'm not sure there's anything sexier than that. It's a very large saxophone. He puts on sunglasses. There's thrusting from Billy Ocean. There's literal motion of the ocean. Danny DeVito is at a very suggestive height for the thrusting that is taking place. There's literal motion of the ocean. And he is playing that saxophone enthusiastically. Literal motion of the ocean. Playing that saxophone with gusto. It's a very large saxophone. So yeah, I guess I was partially raised on Billy Ocean song lyrics, and I just found that out now because I was doing research for this video. My grandpa, he also used to call himself, he always called himself the world's greatest individual. He was a kind man. He was a loving man. He was not a humble man. The world's greatest individual. No, my mom one time for his birthday got him embroidered shirts that said WGI. We all knew what that meant. And if anybody asked him, he would tell them. He's like, oh yeah, I'm the world's greatest individual. Oh, really? Okay. No, but that's something to strive for, right? We should all be trying to do that. There's an ethic in that. You do want to be the greatest unique individual that you are and that you can be. That's a goal to set and to strive for. I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to recommend one more book. If you want to strive to be the greatest individual that you can be, Extreme Ownership: How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. It's another good book, about striving to fulfill your potential. Check it out. That's it. I'm not going to recommend any more books. As I said at the beginning, earlier in the video, when I sort of did a half sign off, as Mary Jane would say to Peter Parker, go get 'em, Tiger. I don't know if I said like and subscribe yet, but if you could like and also subscribe, hit the likey and hit the subscribey baby. That would be good. I'll see you again. I won't actually see you. I can't see you. This is just a avatar. As far as you know, I'm already dead, and you're watching a recording of what I used to exist as. But I don't know what year you're watching this in. This could be, I don't know, this could be 300 years from now. I don't know how long YouTube's going to last or who's going to find this. But like and subscribe, whether I exist or not. Whatever. All right, I'm done. Thank you. Also, side note, Donald Glover should be Spider-Man. All right, nothing against Tom Holland. He seems like a nice guy. I like him in the movies. But just make more Spider-Man movies, like a different set of them or whatever, and have Donald Glover be Spider-Man, right? There's a bunch of Spider-Man movies. Make more of them. People like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. Donald Glover should be Spider-Man. He could write the movie himself. He wrote a really great spec script for Deadpool cartoon that should have been picked up on FX, but somehow wasn't or whatever. Go read that online. He's a heck of a writer. Come on, have you seen Atlanta? Come on. Listen, Ryan Reynolds, I know you're watching this YouTube video. Ryan Reynolds, it's what you do in your spare time. Is watch videos about how to quit smoking, because that's a problem you have. And no, you team up with Donald Glover. Donald Glover writes the script for the next Deadpool movie, and then he's Spider-Man in it. It's Deadpool and Spider-Man. Call it that. Just call it Deadpool and Spider-Man. Spider-Man and Deadpool. And people would watch that. They would. A Donald Glover and Ryan Reynolds Spider-Man and Deadpool mashup. Brought to you by Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile. That's what you have to do to get Ryan Reynolds' attention. Is just Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile. Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile. If you say that enough times, maybe you'll see that. Mint Mobile, Aviation Gin. Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile, Aviation Gin. Spider-Man, Deadpool, Donald Glover, Ryan Reynolds. Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile. You're welcome, Hollywood. That's $1 billion movie. So, did I mention Aviation Gin? This is great. I'm making a video about how you shouldn't smoke, and then I'm like, but drink yourself to death. Don't smoke. Just drink Aviation Gin. I shouldn't. See, now I'm between a rock and a hard place. It's like, how far am I willing to push my ethical boundaries to see, Donald Glover in a Spider-Man movie with Ryan Reynolds? I think it would be great. Judd Apatow could direct, right? It's like a buddy film with Spider-Man and Deadpool, and Judd Apatow figures out how they mesh together. As it's like Pineapple Express, but with, I don't actually know that Judd Apatow did Pineapple Express. I made a mistake saying that, but it's like Superbad, but with Spider-Man and Deadpool. Deadpool finally loses his virginity. It's gonna happen. There's some hints of like some Buddhist themes in there, right? You can dedicate the thing to Harold Ramis and my grandpa. Actually, I looked up how to say his name. It's Ramis. It's not Ramis. Harold Ramis. At least that's how Brian Williams said it. And I mean, come on. You can trust that guy. Little piece of trivia. His daughter, Allison Williams, was on the HBO show Girls with Lena Dunham, right? Created by Lena Dunham. And Judd Apatow helped create that show, was involved with that. And get this, there's an interview with Lena Dunham in this book I already mentioned, right? So if you're into that, another reason to read this book. But no, Lena Dunham, she made this movie, Tiny Furniture. If you haven't seen that, you should look it up. It's a pretty good movie. But she did that pretty independently on like a shoestring budget, just decided I'm going to write and direct and act in my own movie. So I'm like sitting here like, oh man, it's hard to make YouTube videos in my apartment. And it's like, then you see that and you're like, oh man, people are doing impressive stuff. So go watch Tiny Furniture, get inspired about what you could do creatively, be inspired, stop smoking, drink Aviation Gin, and go out there and create something incredible and awesome in the world. For the third and hopefully final time, go get 'em, Tiger. All right, that's it. I have to be done now. I don't know. Why are we still doing this? I'm filing a restraining order against myself. Shut up, Michael. Shut up. Pick number 3, me lord. Number 3. Shut up. Sometimes George's just lucky, I guess. Shut up. When I snap my fingers and you hear the sound of a bird. Shut up. Little hairy balls. Shut up. Homophobic dentist ruins lie. Shut up. Hello, hi, hello. Hello, hi. That's wrong. That is all wrong. Shut up. Go get him, Tiger.